Okay, good morning, health coach extraordinaires. This is Craig Blanchette, and this is our weekly health coach huddle. And so I'm excited about working with you and meeting with you guys today. We've got our A team training team on the line today. Daniela, Diane, and Kim. She needs to change her name to something with a D. Her middle name, her maiden name was Decker, so we'll call it Decker, Diane, and Daniela. Anyway, so they're going to be bringing us some great news on. We've been progressing through new clients and the soon as you order enrollment script, and then we've moved on to the first week, roughly the 5-pound new client meet and greet, and now we're going to be discussing like the end of the first month client story call. And so it's a natural progression. But before we get into that, I just have a couple little interesting Zoom tips for you guys that I wanted to show you. Zoom's obviously, it may not be obvious to you, but Zoom updates their software regularly. And so you sometimes they will tell you there's a new version, and sometimes it's only a couple of modifications, and so they don't tell you to download it. So every once in a while, if you go and say check for update, sometimes you'll get a couple new features on it. But one of the features I wanted to show you guys today is if you go down where it says participants at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to see at the very bottom of that window something that says yes, no, go slower, go faster, things like that. And so if you're in a meeting with somebody and you want like the person to kind of like, I bet Danielle is going to click on go faster any moment now. You can do things like that. And then like if you have to step away for coffee, under the more one, you can see next to my name, I have a little coffee cup, or you can give applause, virtual applause. But it's just some fun little features that that you can do. Thanks, Daniela. Daniela was clapping for me. Thank you for that.
Hey, Craig.
Yeah.
On an Android, it is under the more. On the mobile, it says more with 3 dots, and that shows the nonverbal feedback.
Yep, nonverbal feedback. Yeah, so on the iPad or iPhone as well, any mobile device, it's under more. And then another thing that we've been doing, and I know we've been doing this for a while, it's really helpful to be able to, in that same area, click on raise hand. And then on a mobile device, it's under the more feature. But that works really well. We've been doing some trainings, and it's amazing how many people don't know how to raise their hand to ask a question. And it is super helpful when you're leading a meeting and someone wants to talk to see their hand go up. Now, here's a neat thing. If you're leading a meeting yourself, you can make co-hosts. And I just realized that I needed to make some people co-host. And so they can then see when people raise their hands, and they can manage mute. Like sometimes I'm in a meeting and they'll be talking and one of my co-hosts will mute. So I don't have, so they got my back. So those are some fun things because we use Zoom quite a bit, and a lot of you guys are hosting meetings on Zoom. And so there's a little bit of fun fact about how to use Zoom actually in ways that you can't do in a normal meeting. Imagine if Daniela came up and said, go faster, right? Or, just different ways to do things so you can communicate things in a Zoom meeting that, are difficult to communicate in another meeting. So anyway, so that's what we have going on there. I'm excited also, and I'll let the ladies talk about this, but how the 21 days of consistency are going and stuff like that. But I know they have an awesome training in store for us today. So bring on the 3 Musketeers. There, I got a word in for you guys, ladies.
Can I just ask real quick? So Craig, if we don't see that, that means we don't have the update.
Probably, yeah. Probably you're not on the latest version, and so just go into your Zoom and on the Mac, it's a different location that says look for update. But usually when you have your control panel for Zoom that says start a meeting, join a meeting, usually up under your name, there's a thing that says check for update in there somewhere. Yep.
I'll ask one more question with that, Craig, real quick. And that is, I noticed that, I clap my hands for you, but I can't see it like in the chat. So does that mean nobody sees it except for you? Or
Good
how does
question. Let's test that right now. Because you three are co-hosts now, so maybe Betsy can give us feedback. So it doesn't show up in the chat. It just shows up in the participant window. So
Okay.
right now, Christina said she had a check. I can see that. Can you ladies see that? In the
No.
participants window next to Christina's name?
Oh, so you have to actually, that's another window you have to pay attention to then.
Right. Yeah, the participant window is a good window when you're a host because you can see who's muted and who's not. And actually there's a new feature that if they don't have Zoom as their primary window, like they're on Facebook, they'll show it. You can tell that their focus is not on Zoom. So you can kind of tell who's paying attention to the meeting and who's not. Now, I don't know if that's just a host only feature or not, but under participants, can you see Christina said go faster? You can.
Under participants.
Yeah. So I'm going to put a coffee cup next to my name. Can you see the coffee cup next to my name?
Yeah.
You can. Can Betsy you? Uh-oh, I can't hear you.
Well, and I can't.
I don't think I have the update.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's why even though I am a host, I can't see that probably because I don't have the update.
Oh, I see. Fair enough. Yeah.
Is that an update on our computer?
Yeah.
Would that be on our computer as well as on our phones? We have to do both?
Probably both. Definitely the computer is what we're referring to today.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes the phone prompts you. It depends on what platform you have, prompts you for updates more. But anyway, I don't want to take any more time with that, but that is, so thanks, Linan. Linan gave me a thumbs up. Now, can you see, Linan, Christina's checkbox or anything next to Christina's name under participants? No? Okay. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to turn it over to you. Oh my goodness, Linda Benson.
Okay. Oh, Linda's here. Yeah. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I wanted to just kind of get started with just a few minutes on chatting about our 21 days of consistency and just seeing if anybody had any comments or things that they wanted to share in regard to what's happening for them, or maybe even a concern or question. This would be a good place for that. So we wanted to give a little bit of time to that before we started our next actual training.
Well, I wanted to, I think it was yesterday. Craig, did you do the video yesterday? I want to make sure I'm on the right day yet. I don't think I've seen Alex. I think Alex did this morning's. But I just appreciated what Craig said, especially that, whether we're behind or, just how about you just do today's action? I just really appreciated that because I've done a lot of it, but I haven't gotten every single little piece of it. But I am busier than ever. I mean, I'm just like, I don't think I've had as many share calls in 1 week that I can ever remember. And so for me, it's generating a lot of activity. And yet, I'm thinking, okay, well, even though I'm busy following up with all this stuff that's already been generated, I can at least get a Facebook post out there, and do, some of those littler things to keep, being visible to other people, but then realizing I'm still following up on a lot of other comments and likes and then new messages that have been started on Messenger and all of that. So I feel really busy, but I guess for me, I've been around a few years. And so I've had times where I literally feel like, what else can I do? Nobody's responding. I don't know what else to do. And right now is not one of those times for me. It's like, what's the most important thing to do is what my question is right now. And so that's an exciting place to be. But I think what is cool about this and the fact that we're doing this as a team is if we're in a position where I got all those things checked off, I did all of the action steps, now what? It's awesome because we, all the coaches are on track and they can tell you, well, okay, here's something extra you can do. if you want to, if you want to generate even more. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and you need help prioritizing what is the most important thing to do, our coaches are there to help us with that. And that is for me too. I still am having conversations with Daniela, like, okay, what should I put above this? Because I'm really busy. And so that help is there. So I'm excited about the activity that's been generated.
I'm curious if other people have feeling like in total, it's, we've got 11 people that are joining us today. And I know some people watch this later on recording. But I'm curious if, like, what's been because those of us that were in charge of creating it are aware of what it is and how it works. But I wonder how far that trickled away from us. And so who's actually aware that we're doing a 21 days of consistency, and who's participating in at least one of the things so far?
I've done most of them. I wouldn't say every single one, but like yesterday, I forgot what that was. Where I did that where I made friends with 4 people,
Mm-hmm.
and then made a comment and so forth, which is funny. I ran into somebody who I know at church, and she's a friend of Carter, Carter Tom. So mm-hmm. What an amazing thing. But anyway, I did that, but there was a couple days ago where I tried and it just didn't work out. But yeah. I like how you gave us, Craig, that not excuse, but this kind of like
we'll call it grace.
A little grace there, where you said, if you can do the other ones, just do today's. And mm-hmm. It just made me breathe better.
Yeah, good. Then me too. Yeah, I'm like you that way.
Yeah. And then when I posted, one of the first ones was, your story. And then I've gotten 3 people. Rich reminds me, I have to go back to the likes. But 3 people that said, "What's your secret?" So I'm still working with them.
So Eileen, right now, take a pen and put it on the paper and put follow up on likes, because you just
I'm doing it right now.
But if you don't write it down, right. I know for me that was gone. And Lynn, you can talk next. The other thing too, though, is give yourself some grace and realize that what we're doing in this is you're planting seeds. The harvest might come in a month or 3 months, but we're getting a lot of seed in the ground, and you're branding yourself as somebody that is taking health, that's paying attention to health, probably at least that, and you're helping other people in some way. And so that's what we're trying to get out is, I'm a resource. I want to serve people that aren't as healthy as they want to be. And so that's the brand message that you're developing over time. And so it's not that there'll be immediate actions, but this is planting seeds. Lynn, you had your hand up. I unmuted you.
I probably was just wiggling because I'm very wiggly. But I will say, I mean, you guys have been just an anchor for me. Like, this whole background here is going to go away in a week. I'm packing up and moving in with my friend Christine, that has read, to my shame, the whole Habits of Health book. Yeah, she's like an RN supervisor, and she's like, well, I really like what he said here. And Dr. A, she's calling him Dr. A. I was like, what? I've only read that. But, so I'm moving in with her, and I'm like, okay, please come to Portland with me, all this stuff. But needless to say, I have all these moving parts, you guys. I'm going through boxes, packing up everything, putting it in a Raiders of the Lost Ark container. And if I don't get another job here in Olympia, as Martin well knows, poor Martin, I'm going to New York, and then I may go to Spain and be there for a while. I don't know.
Yeah.
But let me say, in all this journey, you guys, listening to people speak at church and, different videos online, and, all sorts of things coming into my mind, and trying to focus on meaning and purpose, I'm like, you know what? I'm here to love people. I'm here to care for people and help them in any possible way that I can. You know, it doesn't have to be, I'm going to go to this city, I'm going to build this, I'm, you know, like that specific, but I know I have that purpose. And I
Yeah.
know that, you know, Optavia is a venue.
Yeah, it's a
for that.
vehicle. Well,
That's
and
all I want to say. So thank you.
you said you're looking for a job and looking for obviously something that pays money that provides fulfillment. And so Martin and I can talk with you, only because I don't want to get too involved with the training today. But Martin and I can talk with you because this is not a volunteer position. Coaching is not volunteer. I mean, it may be, you may think of it as volunteer right now, but it doesn't have to be. It actually pays quite well. And so it might be that this could be the answer to many questions and problems, and you already love being anchored to it. So thank you for that. And we'll connect with you. All right. And it'll be a little scary, but hopefully it's fun too.
Thank you.
So one of the things that I was just, kind of hearing, and I loved your video yesterday because of that grace aspect. At the same time, I've learned personally that grace can become an excuse, right? And so while I do give myself grace, and I'm not going to sit here and say I've done every single thing and stayed right on top of it the whole time. No, there are pieces that aren't done, but I write them down, right? And they're on my agenda, and whether I get to them on the day isn't as important to me as I get to them. And so that's just something I would encourage is, yes, give yourself grace. If life intervened and you didn't, you got half of the actions done, but write them down, like Craig said, and make a plan to systematically get to everything. Your timeline might be a little longer, but still get to everything.
Let me just dovetail here. Is if you say, oh, this is important and I'll fit it in sometime, that time's already taken by something else. Probably. Right? If you think of your day yesterday, 100% of every hour for 24 hours was already occupied by something, because you lived 24 hours yesterday. And so if we're not intentional, the next 24 hours is probably going to look like a lot like the last 24 hours. And so think of it this way. You think of time blocks as like these, I think of like this wall of shelves and with little drawers, and you pull out the drawer and it's got stuff in it, and that's for that hour, and you push it in. Now, some of those will have nothing in it because it's your nothing time. It's sitting and breathing time or whatever, right? And so for tomorrow, you have a bunch of boxes and you want to add 15 minutes of consistency in what, so it's not going to get in there accidentally. You've got to go over and go, oh, we're taking this one out. I'm going to set that over there. We're not doing that today. We're going to put this one in that spot. So hopefully that visual is you have to take something out that was part of your last 24 hours to add this new thing in its place. So what are you going to displace to have time for the 15 minute, 21 days? There's too many numbers. You know what I mean? Where are you going to have time to put that in? And so for me, when I think about it in that way, I'm like, oh, now I know why it didn't happen, because I didn't create space for it to happen.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the space is created, so maybe some of you can resonate with this. The 15-minute space is created, but I had a process to go through to create a certain post, or sometimes it just takes a little longer than the 15 minutes. And so when that happens, I have to move it, right, to, okay, I'm going to do that tomorrow. But like Craig said, I'm giving it a designated time, and this is when it's happening. So love that. But that 15 minutes, guys, 15 minutes in a day, I just don't know who can't set aside 15 minutes a day. And it's okay if you don't get them all done, but do something, right? Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and transition. I know Craig at the beginning kind of pulled back and reviewed what what we've been training on. And the first thing that we did was we talked about how to layer coaching immediately when our new client decides to join our Optavia community, and the high value in that. And that part of that was that meet and greet. So we had a training on what the meet and greet is and the flow of that. And then we had a 5-pound kind of first victory script for a call with your mentor coach. And then the next logical piece of that sequence is to have a next milestone call, typically around a 1-month mark kind of a thing. There's a next milestone. And so today we're going to review that call strategy. And we're really excited because there's a lot of things that we laid as a foundation in that 5-pound victory call that we did that we now get to follow up on. And that's really exciting. And if you're doing this with your mentor coach, they are also able to start helping you see, hey, is this a coaching candidate? You know, could this be somebody that that we want to encourage a little extra, or, you know, invite a little differently or whatever. And that's the beauty of always staying engaged with your mentorship. So let's see. So if you recall, in that first, that 5-pound script, there were some target points that we took our clients through, or that the mentor coach brought up to your clients, some tips, right? Staying connected with your coach, engaging in the habits of health system, embracing community, and living out loud and journeying with others, right? Those are the key points. Well, so at the 1-month goal, we want to celebrate with them first and foremost, of course, always. But then it's a wonderful opportunity for us to invite growth for that client. And so we're going to model this for you today, first of all, and then hopefully have a little time to practice, and that may roll over into next week. I'm not sure what that will look like today. So I'm going to be the coach that brings my client Diane to Kim, who is going to be the mentor coach. And so on a side note, it's not necessary to have all of your celebration calls necessarily be with the same mentor, but it is crucial that they are one of your mentors. And the reason is because we're working on building your business at this point. And so your mentors need to get in close with you in order to do that. So if you were to go, use somebody from another team, well, they don't know your business. They don't know what you need. They don't know the culture you're developing. Just the list goes on. So encourage you to look into your direct mentorship, and, you can go up a few, that's fine, but stay with yours. Okay, so here we go. You ready, ladies?
Should we share the script so people can follow along?
We could. Do you think that's helpful for a starting point, or okay? Thank you, Craig.
And I can see it, so we're good.
Okay, awesome. All right, here we go. So, all right, so we're all getting together here on Zoom. So, hey there, Kim. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great. How are you, Daniela?
I am doing awesome. I am so excited to be on Zoom with you and Diane today. I can hardly wait for you to learn about some of the celebrations that she has in her life. And Diane, Kim has been so influential in my journey and has spoken into my life in so many different ways that I know together today we'll discover some next steps for you.
Yeah, that sounds great, Daniela.
I am so excited to be back together, you guys. It's I cannot wait to hear what you've been experiencing, Diane, because it's been a little bit since we talked. So tell me a little bit about what maybe your most exciting non-scale victory's been this last month.
Well, I've got so many different sizes in my in my closet, and I've been able to go down 2 sizes in the first month. So, and this time I'm going to get rid of the bigger sizes. I'm not keeping them. I'm just going to keep going down, and as I outgrow them or shrink, I'll get rid of them. I'm going to donate them. So.
Oh, I love that. So were you like me, where you had like several sizes that you just kind of get back into as you start shrinking?
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be really exciting when you get to go out and buy some new clothes too, right? That's awesome. So any other things that you're experiencing on non-scale victories?
Well, I feel a lot better. I mean, I have more energy for sure. I love to garden. And I've been able to go out there and bend over and not have my knees, I'm a lot more comfortable bending over and pulling out weeds and that kind of stuff. So that's been really nice. I like having a little less pain and discomfort. So that's been huge for me. I can do what I love to do, right? I mean,
and you can get back up when you're down there.
Yeah.
After being down there.
Without somebody's hand.
Yes. Oh, that's so exciting. So have anybody commented on things that they're noticing in you, whether you're shrinking or even more energy or those kinds of things?
Well, yeah. Well, my husband, number one. But then some of my friends too, have been noticing and have, made little comments like, oh, you look so good. You're radiant. You look like you're, healthier. So yeah, I have had some.
Oh, and how does that make you feel?
Well, it feels great. I mean, yeah, it feels like all this newfound attention.
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting. I think, well, last time we talked, this is very exciting for me because last time we talked, I shared some tips with you about the different parts of our program, and just wanted to kind of check in with those different aspects and see how each of those is going for you. So the first thing I shared with you is just about your amazing coach. I just love working with Daniela. She is so great. She is so competent and leading you to what you need at the right time. So how has that relationship with Daniela helped you so far on your journey?
Well, she's been a great resource for sure. And I love that she doesn't give me the answers. She points me to the resource. So it puts me in control of my own journey, which I really like because I'm pretty independent. So that's been really nice. And so I love Daniela. I think she's definitely been a great resource and is quickly becoming a friend.
Oh, that's awesome. So do you think Daniela gets anything out of this relationship?
Well, I'm sure I hope so. Well, she likes to help people. I can tell that genuinely. So I'm sure that, she enjoys that piece of it.
Yeah, I call it heart payment, Diane, just so you know, because my heart just flutters and celebrates when we talk about all these freedoms you're finding in your life.
Yeah, thank you. I love that.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes, I don't know about you, but with my coach, I would, get all this support and help. And I just, sometimes I might even feel like, like I might be bugging them or something like this. But as I have become a coach myself, I realize that every one of those conversations benefits me in my own health journey and helps me stay healthy. In fact, coaches are 500% more likely to keep their weight off. So it's really awesome that you're benefiting and she's benefiting at the same time. So
500%, huh?
Yeah. Isn't that awesome?
I didn't know that. That is very interesting. But it makes sense. I mean, you learn and reinforces what you know by teaching others. So that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So thank you for being here and helping Daniela on her journey, and also in helping me on mine. So this is great. So we also talked about the habits of health system. So what has your experience with that been like? And how, have those exercises in the workbook been helping you? You feel like for your long-term success?
Oh, yeah. Well, I love the workbook in that it really highlights, what it is that I I hate to use the word should, but it's there. It highlights areas that are weaker for me, and I need, want them to get stronger. So, really helps me get laser focused on what my challenges are and what are the next steps.
Yeah. Awesome. So, in terms of community, what parts of the community have you been connected to so far?
Well, I really love the Facebook page. I love the stories. There's some pretty powerful stories on that page. I've not been able to attend the Thursday night meetings just because of the time. I'd love to be able to, but so mainly the Facebook page, and I do listen to the Wednesday night Habits of Health call, and if I can't, I have the recording in my YouTube app. So
yeah, awesome. Yeah, and are you feeling like you get a good balance of community throughout the week, or do you wish you had more?
Well, sometimes I feel like it'd be nice to have a little bit more, once or twice a week. It doesn't seem like quite enough because you're faced with food every single day, and, your health is there every single day. So it seems like more would be better. Though at this point, this is kind of what, I can do. So,
yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about that too. The other piece is I'm curious, when you think about building your community, your health support community, have you invited any friends to join you on any of those calls or in any way? And has anybody expressed interest?
Not really. I mean, people have noticed, what's going on with me, but I haven't really invited anybody. I didn't even really think to. So that's a great idea. I like the idea of that. So
yeah. What do you think that would look like if you did invite, some friends to join you and they were on that Wednesday night call? How would that help you, do you think?
Well, if there's more people around me who are working on their health, that's going to make it a lot easier, because I'm pretty socially oriented. So, we're going to a thing on Saturday here, and if there are more people there that are doing the same thing that I'm doing, they're going to bring healthier treats. So it'll be less of a challenge. I'll have other things to eat other than, the things that I don't want to eat. So I could see that. And we can, build our lives around around our health. And that would be really helpful, I think.
Yeah. Have you ever picked up something in one of those calls and thought, man, I would really like to talk to somebody about this, or I thought I was the only one that struggled with that, those kind of things? So that come to mind?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do. That's a great point. Maybe what I ought to do is when I see something like that or hear something like that, write down who I'm thinking of. And because the call is recorded, I could always send them the recording, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's gonna help expand your community. And then all of a sudden, maybe those conversations are happening every day. So you're getting that health dose on days you don't expect. So that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last component we always talk about our program is eating for health. So what habits are you practicing right now that you think are going to benefit you, not just to lose weight right now, but long-term health?
Well, certainly eating 6 times a day, because I was not doing that before I started, this journey. So definitely eating 6 times a day, eating within an hour of getting up for breakfast, which that sometimes I'd skip breakfast, just have a cup of coffee. So I can see that. And, the lean and green, I can definitely see how that is kind of like a great framework for lunch and dinner. So, I think I've learned a lot about eating from the program.
Yeah. Well, and what is so exciting to me, Diane, is I remember in our first conversation how keeping the weight off was almost more of a concern than losing it. Like maybe you've had some experience losing weight before, but how am I going to keep it off? And what I hear you saying is that those components for long-term health are getting planted, and so that's really exciting. Some of those habits are forming. So of those 4 components, which 2 would you say are the easiest for you right now to kind of keep in your schedule and do?
Are you talking about the community and the habits of health system?
Yeah, so habits of health system, community, being connected with your coach, and eating for health. Those 4.
Okay. Well, certainly the 5-in-1 is super simple, right? Because my timer goes off and I open a package. That's a no-brainer. That's definitely been the easiest for sure. And I love the structure. I do really well with structure. So that's definitely been the easiest.
Okay. And is there another one that's been pretty easy for you?
Yeah, I think listening to the calls, being on the calls or listening to the recording and reading the book are pretty easy because I'm a reader anyway. So it's easy. And I'm in my car a lot, so I can listen to the Habits of Health recordings. So those 2 are yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So what's the hardest, or which ones are most challenging for you?
Well, I definitely think the community, because it's really hard to say to somebody, knowing exactly how to position what I'm doing sometimes is a little challenging. And Daniela has given me some tips for sure, and that's easier. I think, I need to rethink that. I need a new mindset around that for sure.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I understand what part of that community piece is most difficult for you?
Well, I think the invitation piece is sometimes a little hard, I don't know how to posture it exactly, what to say. So that's a little hard. So I think, I need to connect with Daniela and have her walk me through I love role playing. And so maybe she and I can I'd love to role play with her and see if she can give me some tips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people I'm thinking about that would, would really benefit from what I'm doing. So
yeah. So you would be interested in maybe exploring maybe some words to use and how to invite. And so that way we can kind of cement that part of your journey in place so that you've got that health and, in every day, those interactions every day. So does that sound like a good thing to go ahead and explore together?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that would, I think if I'm confident, I won't have a problem, but the confidence isn't there for me right now. So
absolutely. And you know what? Daniela is amazing at that. She has such great wording, and she can work on that with you. And I would love to even, when you feel like you're ready, I would love to do some role plays, so you can invite me back in, and love to do that with you. So as you're looking at your journey, what's the next step for you? What do you want to work on? Is that invitation piece the next step that you want to work on, or do you have something else in mind?
No, I think the invitation step is the most logical for me right now. Yeah, I think that's the most logical. I think I've been really good at being consistent on plan. I think I'm good about reading and listening to the calls. So yeah, the invitation piece, the community, and finding a way perhaps to, I don't know about the Thursday night, how that's going to work for me. I know there's a recording and I haven't listened to those. Maybe that might be another logical next step.
Yeah, there's some great strategies for introducing that into your time schedule and all of that. And so I am so excited. Thank you so much, Daniela, for connecting us again. And I'm just really looking forward to more and more celebrations and milestones. And I'm really excited, Diane, that your next step is to spread and share health, because man, it is something that our world needs. Mm-hmm. And so thank you for sharing. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and finish up. Daniela, thanks again. And I'll be back in touch, and can't wait to celebrate again. Have a great day, you guys.
Bye, Kim.
Bye.
All right. So I saw in the comments that, something about the pro aspect, but guys, that's developed, right? And that's why we're sharing a script, because having something to launch off of when you first get started is really helpful, right? I know I used to write my own, because and that's a lot of work, and it doesn't duplicate very well. And so that's what we're trying to do, is really create a system that is easier, where everyone's not writing their own stuff, and we can share and duplicate easily. So we'd love to hear any feedback that people have regarding what was just shared.
I have some feedback.
Yeah.
No one on planet Earth says, I love to role play. Diane. Woo, 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 woo.
Diane does.
I do.
I know she does, but like for a role play that may be, if it's modeling, it's like, well, you're the dream client. Like, yes. Oh my goodness. But I've never heard anybody but you, Diane, say that. So I know
She
it's
was the dream client.
yeah.
Oh, no, I wasn't actually.
She was a total bear, but anyway. I'm just kidding. She's wonderful. So no, I thought it was nice. I liked how you went through it. I'm wondering, curiosity here, is in the modeling of this to train us, is the focus intended to be mostly learning what Kim's supposed to say? And so it's not as important what Diane's saying? Or is the modeling, as you're teaching us, more about what the client says and how to respond to it? So can you give me some feedback on that?
I love that question, because I think it's both. Because first of all, Kim, this is probably, out of all the scripts, I think a little harder, but the beauty is that you as the coach don't need to worry about the harder part. It's your mentor that has to worry about that part, right? The harder part is the soft skill of, however the client responds, that you're going to be able to, to take it from there and help guide them in their next step. But I think the primary focus really was just having people understand how this script, or this next meeting, connects with the last one. So there's this nice flow of, here's some tips, and now we're going to ask you about how you've been implementing those tips into your life, because what we know as coaches is if those aren't being implemented, they're probably not going to have the success they want, at least not long term. So that really, I think the focus, to directly answer your question, was to show the next step after that initial 5-pound conversation, and that it connects and relates, right? And to have coaches know what to expect from their mentors when they come into that conversation. That's really helpful, right? It takes away anxiety, and also to know that that as a team, we can actually work on building up our clients to this idea of expanding their community, which is so much in their favor. Did I answer your question, Craig?
Yes, you did. And so it's good to model, because Diane was in the example was having a lot of I mean, it was very integrated, like big time. And so as I'm watching this as an example, it seems not, it seems the exception from my coaching experience. And so coaching to more of the what the experiences look like. I mean, I loved it. It's like, man, this is fun. Yes, she's doing that. She knows what the podcast is. Are you kidding me? That's great. And and you're running with it, and you're going, and I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, coach material, right? So that's what I'm thinking in my head. So maybe just for that. But then the other thing too is that the estimated time when you're scheduling one of these, and I put a number on the script, but because I think that's going to be helpful for all our scripts. This takes about 5 minutes. This takes about, what would be your estimated time frame for this particular thing?
I would think about 30 minutes.
30. That's what I put, was 30. Yeah. That gives you a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, I would always schedule 30, but I think a lot of them will probably be done in about 20. Depends on the person. You might have some follow-up, but I would always schedule 30. I would just love to have a little bit of a conversation about what you see the benefit to the client being, because in the past, we've done celebration calls. There hasn't been much of a script. And we've celebrated the non-scale victories and the scale victories, but for me, it hasn't been much more than that. Maybe some layering of coaching a little bit, but to me, this has so much more value. And I'm curious if Betsy, go jump in there. I'd love to hear your feedback on how you think this could benefit.
The one thing that I loved it. I mean, I'm with Craig. It's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that kid's amazing. I would love to see one that's a little more challenging, where Diane was having difficulty, and because we'd all love to have it go just like that. And I think it gets a little more challenging when there are obstacles in the way for the client, and the script changes a little bit. And I'd love to see how that plays out.
And I'm not even saying necessarily that she's challenging or she's difficult, because in a role play, you want to model it going well. Let's practice for the good, not for the really horrible clients. Or did I say that?
Well, and what I'm saying is that I personally, when mine don't go according to the role play, I'm like, oh, I'm doing it wrong. It's not working. So it would be nice to see, when things get tripped up a little bit, how a mentor coach would gracefully be able to handle that. And it's like, oh, that's a great tip.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Betsy, what would happen if you brought 10 clients to your mentor coach for one of these calls?
And that's my challenge, is even getting it set up. Exactly, right. Kim. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think I'm just like, I have learned so much as it used to be, I just wanted to do this on my own. I was afraid that I would be judged, if I did a 3-way call, all those things, all those fears. And yet when I finally kind of accepted the process, I'm just like, man, that was a great response that Daniela had. I could have that in my weekly client call, or, so a lot of that is, we probably hear, we can definitely role play some of those difficult questions, but probably here, we're not going to have the time to even cover half of what you might encounter.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, and I think, Kim, if I may, just say that the burden of the no is on your mentor coach. Okay, that's the beauty of this script. You as the coach bringing your client in doesn't need to know anything. You're just bringing them to your mentor coach. Your mentor coach has the burden of dealing with whatever complicated question or response your client might have, and you get the benefit of hearing those responses to utilize in future conversations you may have, and when you become a mentor for your coaches.
I'm just curious, Daniela and Kim and Diane, have you already implemented this? Have you actually done this with any of your clients, and how has that been in general?
We have. We haven't done a huge number of them, because this is kind of a newer process, as far as we started with the layering, and it's about that time where we've done the 5-pound call. We're doing some now milestone calls, and it's worked really well. And here's some just examples. So Diane and I knew who was going to do which role. We hadn't played it out. I didn't know how she was going to answer. So she was really nice for me. But I was prepared for her to say, habits of health system. What's that? So to me, I see all of those different aspects, even if they all I know is the food. The fact that I'm going to be asking about all those other components is such a benefit to my coach, because I have clients like that are only engaged in the, in the food. If I can get them on a 3-way call, I'm excited, because I know my coach is going to be asking about these other things. Like, oh, so it wasn't just Kim that was talking about this stuff being important. There's another person that thinks it's important too. And so whether that's a struggle or a positive thing, or, like, well, I'm really apprehensive. I don't want to be in, I'm a really private person. Community scares me. I know that my mentor is going to be asking some good questions around that and kind of opening them up to what are the possibilities? What if you just liked some of the posts that other people are posting in the Facebook page? What if you commented and said, good job? And then the next step would be, what if you posted? So I don't know, Daniela and Diane, you want to respond with the ones that we've done lately?
Well, Alex did one for me, and we didn't even really have we've developed this just like even this morning we had a question to it. So, but he did great because he went over the 4 components. And really, I think the bigger picture, I think sometimes, we look at this and we start getting carried off on the different tangents of this. But I think the rhythm of this is what we want you to get a picture of. And then going over those 4 components. I mean, really, the questions aren't that important, but going over the 4 is really the bottom line to this, and reinforcing those. Because I usually bring up the Craig's picture of the 4 cornerstones, and it's another way I'm reinforcing it for the clients. And some of the soft skills, I mean, we're not there either. You know what I mean? And okay, I should have given Kim a much harder time. But I also know Daniela as the coach. And I know Daniela gets people integrated, right? So anyway, that's my input. Daniela, we're not hearing you. You're talking, but we're not hearing you.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I know we need to wind up, but one comment I'd like to throw out is I do think it's in the questions. In this particular call, it's asking the questions about those components, because that's where the client gets to reflect on where they're at. And I'll be super excited to continue this next week. This is fun. So thank you, Craig.
Yeah, thank you guys. So we'll get this script into the Optimal Health Coach here soon, put a couple more details on it. We'll get it in there for you guys to do. And then I would recommend for homework this week is to walk through this with one of your clients. Do a 3-way. Do it through with anybody. Do it through with somebody. How's that? Anybody's too many people. Do it with somebody. And then let's talk about that experience. Because if we don't practice this in practice, then we'll practice this in real time. And sometimes that's challenging.
And can I just add to, the whole purpose for the client is to reflect and see what's next. What are they working on next? We need them to be in that active creating mode. And so I just celebrated with a client who'd lost 50 pounds. She wasn't here necessarily for the first few. We did the 5-pound celebration kind of after the 5-pound, and so this was the next celebration. She hit that milestone, and she identified, she's a really great integrated client, and Daniela was on the call with me. She did great, but she could identify, well, I can get better here and I can do this. And so we had those next steps so that she could continue. So we might be integrated in community. How could we be more integrated in community? We might be reading our habits of health. How could we be applying that? So that's kind of the whole purpose in this, and helping people what's next. I mean, all of us need it too, right? So.
Yes. All right, guys. So we will, we are 1 minute before 10, which is when our power hour is starting. So if you guys want to join the power hour, I'll give you guys the number for that. It is 893-173-956. And what if you went into the power hour right now and you watched the video for the 21 days of consistency, and you did that for your action time today? That's an option for you. 893-173-956. All right, guys. Thanks for all your professionalism and all your prep, ladies.